Hello friends, I'm Carlos Alberto, the thinker, here in Florianopolis with the sound of the sea that always helps me think calmly and without rush. Welcome to this space where we don't aim to give absolute truths, but rather tools for each of you to think freely. What is said here is not meant to be the ultimate truth. It's an invitation to look with your own eyes, question with your own reason, and feel with your own heart. If something resonates, use it. If something bothers you, discard it without guilt. The important thing is not to agree with me. The important thing is that you think freely. Today we're going to explore a topic that has been on my mind since Nicolás Maduro's capture on January 3rd, 2026. The title says it all. Will Maduro be the Venezuelan Stalin? Delcy Rodríguez and the possible realignment of Chavismo. It's possible that Delcy Rodríguez is symbolically erasing Maduro from the Chavista narrative to reposition the movement as something renewed and more democratic. Or is it just a temporary illusion amidst the chaos? I don't have definitive answers. No one does in politics, where the only certainty is the facts that occur. But let's observe the facts carefully, explore reasonable hypotheses, and connect everything with a Stoic-Freudian vision so that you, dear viewer, can form your own judgment. Stay until the end, because this isn't just geopolitics. It's an opportunity to ask ourselves how we react to the changes around us, and how we tell what's real from what's just an appearance. First, let's review what happened during these intense days of January 2026. On January 3rd, American Special Forces captured Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela. Since then, Delcy Rodríguez has taken over as interim president and stepped into the spotlight. In her most recent speeches, for example, the event at the Supreme Court of Justice on January 30th, or the Productive Economy Council on January 16th, I've noticed a subtle but constant change. Maduro is mentioned less and less, almost as if he's disappearing from the official story. This isn't a minor detail. In politics, what isn't named starts to fade from collective memory. The absence of a figure who was once everywhere isn't a coincidence. It's a sign that deserves close attention. The biggest announcement was the general amnesty law, which covers from 1999 until now, excluding serious crimes like murder or drug trafficking. Delcy presents it as a gesture to heal the wounds of political conflict and get back to peaceful coexistence. She also announced the closure of the Helicoide, that infamous detention center linked to torture and repression, and its transformation into a social and sports center. In all these speeches, the tone is one of reconciliation, of let politics solve our conflicts. But Nicolás Maduro barely appears. Sources like The Guardian and Venezuelan networks talk about a symbolic erasure on the official presidency portal. References to him removed since January 23rd. Coincidence, improvisation, or something more deliberate? Let's see. In speeches before the capture, Maduro was the central figure, the legitimate president. Now the story focuses on the Venezuelan people and making amends, as if Chavismo needs to free itself from a burden to move forward. This shift in language isn't innocent. It reflects a possible reshaping of internal power, where Maduro's figure becomes a weight that needs to be dropped so the movement can breathe and survive. Here's the idea I want to share with you today. Is Maduro becoming the Venezuelan Stalin? Let's remember the historical comparison without taking it as gospel. In the Soviet Union, after Stalin's death in 1953, Nikita Khrushchev began de-Stalinization in 1956, a secret speech where he blamed Stalin for all the excesses, repression, purges, cult of personality. The Communist Party repositioned itself as renewed and more humane without changing its deep essence. The regime survived by freeing itself from the burden of Stalin as a scapegoat. In Venezuela, something similar might be happening. Maduro, captured and out of power, is the perfect candidate to be the scapegoat. to blame him for Chavismo's failures: chronic shortages, hyperinflation, massive repression, the Helicoide as a symbol of horror, the exodus of millions of Venezuelans. Meanwhile, Delcy Rodríguez and other leaders could lead a new phase of Chavismo, more practical, seemingly more open, with amnesty, the closure of notorious prisons, and talk of peaceful coexistence. This would allow the movement to survive the crisis, attract investment, reduce sanctions, and realign itself without losing control of power. Captured Maduro becomes the one to blame for everything bad, while the system saves itself. But let's ask ourselves more deeply, is this a conscious process, or does it come from the need of the moment? Is Delcy deliberately erasing Maduro to take charge, or is it a natural evolution of Chavismo in the face of a power vacuum? The gradual disappearance of Maduro in speeches isn't just silence, it's a rewriting of the story. By not naming him, his negative legacy is diluted, and space is opened for a clean version of Chavismo. This isn't new in political history. Authoritarian regimes often look for scapegoats to preserve the power structure when the leader becomes unsustainable. But let's not just stick to the positive. We'll explore the shades of meaning and the doubts, because nothing is ever that simple. On one hand, the clues support this idea. Delcy emphasizes healing wounds by admitting past abuses from the Maduro era without taking personal blame. Her story focuses on her as a transitional figure, talking about "let Venezuelan politics solve our conflicts," a more inclusive and less confrontational language. On the other hand, there are important risks and downsides. Chavismo has internal cracks. The hardcore, loyal to Maduro, might see this as betrayal or selling out. Diosdado Cabello, for example, has been more vocal in defending Maduro as an imperialist victim. If Delcy tries to erase him too quickly, it could split the movement into groups that can't be reconciled. Also, is this a real change or just for show? The amnesty and closing of the Helicoide sound good on paper, but if they're not followed by real elections, an end to repression and freedom of the press, it might just be a cover-up to buy time. Freud would remind us that the collective unconscious of an oppressed people isn't easily fooled. Repression can create explosive symptoms if it's not dealt with at its root. The Venezuelan people, after years of suffering, won't easily accept a story of reconciliation if they don't see real structural changes. The key question is Delcy willing to give up real power, or is she just fixing the facade to keep it? And here we get into a deeper thought, which connects with our Stoic-Freudian blend. From Stoicism, Epictetus tells us not to be bothered by facts themselves, but by our judgments about them. Maduro captured, Delcy in charge, amnesty happening, these are facts. Our judgment, an opportunity for positive change or a clever trick. Freud, on the other hand, talks to us about the unconscious. Is Chavismo suppressing its own mistakes, blaming them on Maduro so as not to face the failure of the model? Or is it a conscious process of change? The collective mind of a people doesn't easily forget. Deep wounds don't close with announcements. But at the same time, change, even apparent change, opens a crack through which something new can enter. I don't have all the answers, because in politics the only certainty is the things that happen. But I have a phrase that stays with me in these uncertain times and that I want to share with you. Not all change means improvement, but without change there's no chance to improve. So, if something is shaping up with these possibilities, let's give it the credit it deserves. Let's observe it without bias, without blind passion, and see if it brings real freedom, or if it's just another illusion for the Venezuelan people and for all of Latin America. Friends, this is just my take. What do you see? Do you believe Maduro will become the Venezuelan Stalin? allowing a renewed Chavismo under Delcy? Or do you see more risks than opportunities? Comment honestly below. Your opinions help everyone think better. If you want to dive deeper, exclusive thoughts on how to stay calm in 2026, video previews, and practical PDFs, leave a comment saying, I want to be part of Circle 2026, or simply Circle 2026. It's 100% free and special for this intense year. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Thinking clearly is living better. A big hug from Florianopolis.